Uh, Welcome to the November 20 meeting of the Parks, Recreation, and Open Spaces Committee. It's 2:00 p.m. and I'm calling this meeting to order. We have a quorum. All current members of the committee are present. As y'all probably know, Jeff Wilson resigned June 24. Mark Glansman resigned on September 16. And I haven't been actively recruiting because at the October 9 board meeting, I recommended that we leave the seats open until we get better further direction from the board and until the general manager primarily completes the actions he committed at the September 11 meeting, which we'll discuss in a bit, which are substantial. And once that's done, then it'll be a little bit easier to tell prospective members, here's what we're going to be up to. So that'll be helpful. And currently there's no one on Zoom, so that makes it easy in terms of conversation. Let's see. And chair report. My apologies in advance. This is going to be a minute. It's been 3 months since our last meeting in August, so I won't drag you through everything, but some of the highlights that's happened at the CCSD and board level. Stewart Street Tank project. That construction is underway, and I'm sure many of you have seen it. At the September 11 board meeting, the board approved the purchase of a Type 1 fire engine. So that is big news. The board directed staff to prepare a request for proposal, an RFP for the Cambria skate park project, and issue that RFP as soon as construction permits are obtained from the county and weather conditions are suitable, aka first quarter, I believe. And at that meeting regarding the community park phase 3 plan, most of you probably watched that, but for the benefit of folks watching online, watching on recording, the GM committed to getting quotes for the visual assessment that the county is requiring, get an estimate for whatever necessary engineering and permitting work are needed, bring those back to the board for discussion, and then then we'll see what the board direction is regarding next steps. And of course, Matt committed to working with a nonprofit or fundraising entity, should one be formed, to support development and maintenance of the community park. We had September 12th boil water notice. I mean, what an event that was. Kudos to staff. The response was excellent. And I think most of y'all know, but there was no contamination. It was just a abundance of caution. The general manager announced in his September 19 letter, welcome to Kyle Carver, a new F&R maintenance technician, full strength, way to go. October 9, yeah, I mentioned that already. October 16, major milestone moving forward, the water reclamation facility coastal development permit. One milestone moving forward. And at the meeting last Thursday, the board directed the general manager to initiate the process to initiate the ranch management plan, as discussed. And then the next day, last Friday, general manager announced a $935,000 federal funding award for the new fire engine that we just gave the go-ahead to buy. So what a feat of grant funding. So questions on my chair report, aka ramblings?
Yeah, 2 people.
Okay, and let's see if we have any hands. Great. So Jeff is on, and Shell Benjamin is on staff. Well, I'll leave it there so we can see. Hearing none,
So I have a question.
yeah,
To address the whole idea of the reduction in committee meetings.
okay. My understanding is, from the data in the staff report that Matt had tabled together, there were a lot of meetings canceled, and they looked at the workload of, especially in the finance committee, when finance manager would need input, and they came up with a proposal for quarterly, and more details.
Yeah, so we each year we start to schedule the special or the subcommittees. And what we did when we looked over the course of the year is that several of these committee meetings were canceled for one reason or another. We also looked at the fact that specifically the finance committee and the resources infrastructure committee, they're heavily dependent on staff reports and projects being ready to bring forward. And we were finding that because these projects have their own timeline, they don't fit into the committee schedule. So for instance, finance would have their meetings scheduled, yet the budget wasn't ready to bring to finance in order to get it on the regular board meeting agenda. And so those meetings would be canceled or rescheduled. And so the thought was, because we had so many canceled meetings, and if we were able to do quarterly and then schedule special meetings as those projects and different items needed to come before those specific committees. So the special committees allow us more flexibility to allow for projects and or items that need to come before that subcommittee, but on an off schedule. So R&I is a great example. Stewart Street tanks, water reclamation facility, ZLD, all of those projects have sporadic timelines. And so if the committee meeting is set in stone and those projects aren't ready, we're struggling to find anything to put on the agenda because it's just not ready yet. So the quarterly meetings allow for at least a minimum of those 4 meetings, and then allow us a lot more flexibility to start scheduling special meetings. And then those specific items can be brought forward to the subcommittees. Pros doesn't necessarily have that problem as much, but it seemed like a good idea to put them in line on quarterly meetings and then still allow for special meetings.
Yeah, and the process for calling a special meeting is pretty straightforward. So when we have content, this enables us to make them fit where we really need it, rather than working for the calendar. So, yeah, good question.
Well, my concern is that, or I would hope that we would call a lot of special meetings, because we're gonna lose whatever little momentum we have if we get down to a quarterly schedule. And I know it's an inconvenience for people, or it's a commitment, but I just have a feeling that even with these last 2 meetings being canceled, you just lose a little bit of forward motion. And Community Park goes back to 94. So
Well said. Yeah, well said, Dad. And based on what staff has brought us with this SPP, we may have
Right.
a lot of work ahead, and I hope so. So thank you.
Well, in the special meetings, then we can focus on just the topic at hand as opposed to having a generalized meeting, correct?
Absolutely.
Which might actually move things forward a little faster.
yeah, anything we can do to keep things moving.
Mhm. Other questions? So agenda review. I've got no changes. Anybody? Fine. And the primary topic on the agenda is the community park phase 3 plan. Ad hoc committee reports. Matt, I think you had something.
Yeah, I'm gonna be brief and then turn it over to Christine. We met a few weeks ago to talk about signage for deer crossing, wildlife crossings. My original understanding is that we were gonna try to work off of CCSD properties, but it didn't seem to make sense to just randomly put up signs where there happen to be properties. And Christine kind of outlined, her hopes and plans, and also updated what's happening with the study that is gonna start early in the year. So I'm gonna just turn it over to her. We're, in many ways, we're gonna end up looking toward next fall and next rutting season is the most urgent time. Just in terms of the way some of these things are falling into place, but Christine can fill us in more effectively than I can.
Okay, so I really want to start back in 2022 when they put the 60 deer signs in. If you're coming from Morro Bay, there's a deer sign warning you, there's deer ahead, and the wooded area coming into town, which is a really danger zone right through there. They did put a sign leaving town, although if you're coming on the 46 and you turn on the one, there is no sign of any kind to warn you about deer and wildlife until you get like, I don't know, over a mile down the road. So that's why I've been trying to get some kind of awareness, especially during rutting season, the market, the, full moons that take effect and the time change. We did not find any place to put us any kind of signs. I talked to Green Space. They didn't think they had anything. They were gonna get back to me. That they did not get back to me. I did not get back to them. Then I decided that one day when we were driving around, I said, okay, how about if we get these feather flags and we put them where they have the signs for the scarecrows? And that'll come right after that time for the rutting season. But who's gonna see those signs coming into town at best when the problem is you to be down closer to the road when you turn off the 46, right there coming into town. So for the third year, I've been trying to get a variable message for it coming in. I realized we have one already, alerting people that we have businesses open, but just for the short time till the beginning of the year, I was hoping to have something like that soon thereafter. Since Rita Bird and I got that, help to get that $400,000 study pushed through, I was very hopeful that we could get something like that, because now they are saying, okay, there is a problem, there is an issue, we're gonna do a study, which is going to begin in the beginning of 26, and they're gonna start just getting proposals of what they're gonna do, and then their study isn't gonna be complete till almost the end of fall of 27. So therefore, no help will come until after that time. I'm just still concerned about that. John D'Annunzio, who wrote the grant that we got funding for the study, invited me to the Slow Cog Safe Streets Forum, which I went to. I was hopeful to get Caltrans to put that variable message for it up. The website they gave me to contact them saying that they would surely do that has never gotten a reply from that. So I don't know if they wrote it down wrong, but anyway, I'm still talking to John D'Annunzio about that, and I'm just gonna kind of push forward trying to get that to happen. But honestly, it should have happened a couple weeks ago when we really started into rutting season, but it's never too late, right? So I'm hopeful for that. And then, yeah, I did get a couple of things when I went to that meeting. I talked to the people who drive the buses for the market. And they said they would share on the bus, of course, on the way home to watch for wildlife and deer as they're actually Cambria or driving through Cambria. Unfortunately, there's no way to warn people before they come in. And that's just my biggest concern. So, yeah, so I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate CSD. I appreciate everybody trying to do things to help this situation. Unfortunately, I think the only thing that's gonna really happen is if I can get that board or not, that very message for it. And I'm gonna try to pursue that. So anyway, there's a whole timeline about what they're gonna do, when they're gonna study it, and what they're gonna do, and I really appreciate that, like I said, but it's not gonna be finalized till the end of 27. And that was another thing, I didn't wanna put any signage warning people up there just because I didn't want to interfere with the study through this time of year right now. But since they're not gonna do that until February, I was hoping again for that. But anyway, I would let Matt know and Michael if I do get anything about that to support that and get that going. So
Appreciate it.
anybody
And
else
looking
have any suggestions or?
looking on the list, did you find any CCSD properties on that list that looked like
They
prime
didn't,
spots for
Uh,
a sign?
they didn't really line up. I mean, I think
That's what I
highway
thought.
one was the priority. I mean,
Yeah.
we did identify, there's a green space property, I can't remember which it was. I don't know what the street.
Pocahontas Park, that,
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right there. I don't know how visible that is as you're coming down the highway, but green space would be, potentially an ally in this if we deemed that that was a worthwhile location. Because it is relatively close to Highway one, but there's another spot there you were looking at anyway, right?
Yeah, but I don't know, nobody's given me the legit thing to do that, so since I was here last, a couple of signs went up, but I wasn't part of that because I just didn't want to do anything without, I was trying to get help and I didn't wanna, oh, well, I'm just gonna put up signs anyway, so I didn't do that. But in a way, I'm glad they're there, cause it's something, so.
And that study is looking at pedestrian and vehicle safety.
Yeah, it's really gonna encompass much more than just, Animal Crossing. It's gonna start, at the beginning of town. It's gonna go all the way through Sansome, which is really cool. It's several miles. They're gonna also look at things with situations like how the floods over there by the park, going in Shimmo Park, that's huge. And there's a lot in that study. It's pages and pages long. I guess I could check with John and see if I could just even share that with you.
Oh, he already has. I talked to him. I've been talking to him.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you have the report.
And have you guys looked into any state and federal grants for wildlife corridors? A couple years ago, Plumas County got a huge grant and they weren't able to do the overpass, but they were able to do a bunch of culvert pipes
Mhm.
on going under the 89 and the 70 so that the wildlife could go that way.
Mhm.
And we have like a big culvert pipe going up to Fern Canyon that goes right before Burton
Mhm.
and the highway that used to be clear enough for us kids to go through. And then, of course, under the bridge, one of the reasons that the wildlife has stopped going under the bridge is because a lot of the homeless encampments, I think.
Mhm.
So there's other ways to send wildlife, under
Right.
the highway.
Yeah, and I say we had a deer fence just along and we open those areas of what you're talking about. That's kind of my thoughts too. Not so they can't cross, but so that we can direct them where to cross.
Yeah,
And it
but there
wouldn't be
was
very
state and
expensive.
federal grants. I know that.
But they're
County
going
got that.
to be, they're crossing for that reason yeah, so. I've looked at all that too. There was a grant that, nuisance sign that paid for the signage, a couple years ago, and I tried to get that through and that didn't happen. So, I'll just keep trying, but if you think of anything and you think, I would be glad to investigate or try, so.
Christine, what you've done by getting the study initiated is going to be of great service to the community.
Yeah,
And, it's not solving the immediate problem quickly, but, hopefully some good things will come out of it.
oh, I'm so grateful.
Thanks for that.
I am very, very grateful to that. Well, I'm gonna talk to John, I'm gonna talk to Commander Munoz, I'm gonna talk to him also about the highway patrol, what they might be able to do to help us get that verbal message board, because he's been very supportive and
Mhm.
I have his personal number. I mean, he's a nice guy and I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna reach out to him as well.
Yeah, Commander Jameson is very responsive. So, happy to have this, as a platform for this worthwhile effort.
Yeah,
So thank you.
thank you.
I think that's it. So any committee member communications beyond? Okay. And public comments on things that are not on the agenda. Anyone? Okay. And Jeff, I don't see a hand, so, all right. So that brings us to David, Facilities Resources Report.
So we've been spending a lot of time out on the ranch. We've been clearing a lot of the trails, putting chips out, taking care of a lot of that, taking down a bunch of dead trees. The three-man crew that I got have really stepped up and took on quite a bit in the past 2 months. We've been chipping a lot of the trails, even off of East Ranch. I know yesterday and the day before, we've been out checking out our CCSD lots, down trees, stuff of that nature, seeing what we're in for, as the winter comes in. Just been busy just doing general maintenance out there on the Piscalini. We've been kicking people off the property lately, for foraging for mushrooms. And the last board meeting, we kind of came out and made it clear that we are going to be start giving warnings to people with dog without leashes out at the ranch and also on East Ranch. It's gotten into a big ordeal. People just, entitlement, letting it go. As soon as you get to the park, yesterday I sat there and watched 8 people show up to the dog park or the parking lot, open up the door and let the dog run. And that is one of them. There's a sign there that says dogs on leash on the outside of the dog park. So it's kind of turned into a big ordeal. We were working at a site where the new crossing is at the ranch hand bench. Turned around, we had a dog come running up to us and we're using a skill saw. So that kind of tipped the scale for me. That was a big thing. The dog park, I am having a contractor welder come out and relook at the doors. The handles that were put on those are grade class 2s, which were not enough to turn around and maintain the use and abuse that door gets because it's so heavy. It's solid steel there. So they're talking about redoing the whole thing. It's a pretty good chunk. So I'm just waiting for 2 other contractors to let me know on the cost on that there. Because I know there's a problem with those and even with the springs. I've tightened up the springs twice so far and I've gotten reports that they're not doing their job. So besides us doing, I'm looking into a contractor come out and weld it and see where that goes with financially. The vet's all, we've been pretty busy at this place here. Been putting quotes together, new floors, resanding everything, the paint, the new deck. Let's see, there's quite a bit more. The doors and locks that we're working on, the hinges and closures, the painting. There's quite a bit that's being looked into, the windows for efficiency of their expenditures. So those are things that we're looking at to spruce it up a little bit so that way we can get a little better income. Because I know that's going to be on the table too, the financial aspect of our rental agreements.
Can I add to that, David?
Yeah.
So I met with the chair of the Lions Club and several other 501c3s, and they're interested in doing a big project with the vets hall. And so pulling together quite a bit of money. We have the tourism board gives a grant for $60,000 for the vets hall. We have a budget of about 50, 60-ish for the vets hall. And then when I met with the 501c3s, they wanted quotes for everything to rehab this entire building because they believe that they can pull together enough money to do significant renovations to the vets hall. So I meet with them again December 2nd. With all those quotes, we have more quotes coming in, and there's a potential that there's significant funding coming in for the vets hall through that 501c3 group. So we'll keep you up to date.
Awesome.
And then with our public bathrooms, we've been looking into mag locks, which they've been put on order because that would cut our hours for our overtime for our staff. The 3 locations will have mag locks, emergency exits on them, sensors inside. So if anybody gets locked in, it'll automatically unlock. Once they leave, it'll relock and it's on a timer. It has battery backup, so that way nobody will get locked in there if their power goes out. The camera system is something that's been thrown out there also. I got a couple quotes for those just for surveillance wise and precaution, and to upgrade also the ones that are here in town of a Center Street and Sheffield. That's the big thing. I know I've been looking into that's a big word. These bathrooms are so outdated. They're pretty bad. It's just like the vets hall. We need to put some heads together, see what we can do to come up with some kind of plan to rechange or redo the insides. The partitions are pretty much rotted. They're all disordered. There's a couple things that are out of code. The roof on one of them has termites, rotted. And the other one is the same thing too, just normal wear and tear and rot that's going on with them. So those are my big concern. The new bathroom, we haven't had any issues with it whatsoever. We had a pressure valve that went out, so that's going to be getting worked on. Our pressure drops below 20 once you turn around and flush the toilets in there. So that's something with the water department that I'm working with to get that situated. There's been quite a bit of different stuff. The sand's been dropped for the public Lambkin Park and also at the dog park. which last night we had somebody come in with a tractor and take a full load out of sand. That's every year. So I have them on the camera, but it's just too dark. All what I got is lights. So we already have an idea on who it is. So those are set up. I know there's more, but yeah, that's where we are right now with everything that's going on our end for the winter.
Try to drop an Apple AirTag on it. Fine.
Yeah, I got a couple ideas. Yes.
I may be wrong, but are there new trees on the west side of the dog park? Those have been there for a while? Oh, they just.
3-4 years. Or
Yeah,
so.
but
we've
they look
had-
cleaned up.
We've have a gentleman coming out and maintaining them,
Gotcha.
volunteering, taking care of
I've
them.
never noticed them before, and all of a sudden they look all clean and neat.
I'm walking by there one day and Alan Dean, Karen Dean's husband, is out there working. We get to talk and he said, I'm tired of these looking scroungy.
Yeah.
And then they're coming back.
Yeah,
healthy.
they do.
They're
Look
really,
great.
really coming back really strong. I
So
know
you're
they were
not-
always, basically suffocated with all the weeds and stuff that
Yeah.
were around them. So we helped them out. We did some of the wood chips and stuff, and we're doing what we can with him also.
It is also nice that you're not mowing everything. Well, you get all the birds and the animals and stuff living and all that, and it's pretty cool to have the trails amongst the not mowed.
So in that section there, I mean, that is all the FFRP or the Fiscalini Ranch.
Mhm.
So that's where we cut quite a bit with our expenditure with fuel and also man hours out there. And then going through the weed abatement and also our agreement with the conservation easement and everything else, we don't have to do the whole fields. I know that was a big suggestion and that's the way it's been done for years. Invasive species is something that's out there. That's a part of the reason we're started. They mowed everything. The wear and tear on those vehicles, on those tractors have been a little crazy. We just got done turn around and fixing one of them that a rocker shaft broke, which is the back of the tractor that lifts the implements up off the ground. Gentleman turned around, was out on the ranch, turned around and came back or leaving the ranch by the dog park and it hit the floor. It snapped the shaft inside. So that was another $7,000 bill on that one there. So it wasn't cheap. But it's just the wear and tear that we put on the equipment out there when we do, most of it. But that's why we're trying to cut back and just make sure the trails are open. That's it, trying to keep it a path for everybody through there.
Well, now that
So-
we've gotten rid of all the thistle and all the really bad stuff, it seems like it's more like a natural environment. If I'm.
No, you're right. I mean, we have gray foxes down there now.
Mhm.
So that's another big thing. I know we have
Multiple
other things going through there. So that was the big plus. I know there's a lot of, I call it cabbie, but birds of all the fawns down in there. So that's been happening too. So it's been kind of a blessing in different ways.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, the other thing too that we've done on, I'm sorry, the Fiscalini Ranch, we removed quite a bit of the eucalyptus trees that are non-invasive or invasive to the area. We roughly pulled out, it was over 120 something trees that we cut, and those are all 8 inches and smaller. The amount of chips that we got, you find them dispersed all over the place. A lot of them are on the trails, some are on the hillsides because we weren't able to transport them anywhere. But that was a big plus. Our guys went out and did that. It was about a week's worth of work on our end. So, and there's still more to come on those. So, but we're hacking at it as we go. So.
Fantastic. Yeah, and to your point, by not cutting everything, when we get that sports field, you'll be able to see where it is.
Yeah.
And
True.
if you haven't seen the new bridge near the ranch hands bench, mid-ranch, get out for a walk. It's 30 feet of length plus approaches, and it's the best bridge the Fiscalini Ranch Preserve has ever seen, and I guess more is coming. So, yeah.
Correct. So we have, on that bridge there, the gentleman, the crew and I, we turned around and had that done within 10 hours, each individual. So it was 40 hours of work that we did in less than 2 days. But we are also looking at the Dolphin Trail that goes down to the bottom, goes up to the terrace, and then the drive across crossing there at the Forest Loop Trail. Everybody gets stuck in there every time it rains. So we're looking into getting that one redone. And also a couple other ones that have popped up that people are concerned about. So that's something we're looking into. On that same notion, talked to Brian Morgan yesterday after the volunteers were out there doing the clean outs of the drainages. there's conversation about redirecting that Santa Rosa Trail. The straight drop is kind of a nuisance with the water and the deterioration that we have going on there.
The creek to ridge.
Yeah,
Heart attack.
correct. Yeah, so we're looking at the switchback, doing a couple of those off to the south of it, but there's currently a visible road. If we weed whack and clear out a bunch of the brush and the poison oak, there's a road that goes all the way over to the Forest Loop trail that goes up. Right, it's less than 15 feet from that trail. So that's something that we're looking into to where it would be feasible, either renting a bunch of equipment, doing it in-house, which we're capable of doing, or just turn around and just clear out that section, make another crossing because there's a natural spring in that area. Yeah, sorry, you brought up something.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, and thank you for that. That's, we've needed that for years and it's exciting to see that. So thanks. Questions for Mr. Geary? All right, move to FFRP. Kitty let me know that she wouldn't be able to make it, but she sent me some content. A week from Saturday, the day after Thanksgiving, on the 29th, 10 o'clock a.m. A planting, Monterey pine seedlings, and I believe also some understory plants. It may just be Monterey pines, but so that's gather up at the Dolphin Bench, 10 a.m. December 6th, Songs for the Season, 2 p.m. Tickets are on sale. December 9, Sierra Club Workday. Duffy Burns connects with the Sierra Club, and every year they come out and do some work parties. And then December 13, Pollinator Habitat Planting Day. So, so that's where the understory plants are going in at the Victoria Way Trail at 10 a.m. So that's Kitty's update. So questions? Well, does it make sense? Because I'm not the FFRP ED, so we'll just move on. I'm just sharing what she reported. Julie, skate park? Yeah.
Just want to keep the momentum going, and so here's the holidays. I thought it would be fun to reach out to the community and say, come on out and see us. Sunday, December 14th, 1 to 4 at the park. We're giving away 50 free skateboards to the first 50 people in line, and free hot dogs, water chips, live DJ. Again, just 1 to 4, and it's really not a fundraiser. It is meant to be a thank you to the community and to keep, like I said, momentum going. And of course, more will be coming out from the district in regards to next steps. But please come out. It's going to be a lot of fun. And those 50 first free skateboards, I'm sure, will be cherished by whoever grabs them on the other end. We've had everything completely donated. So anonymous donors on the skateboards, anonymous donors on all the food. Come join us.
Say the date again.
Sunday, December 14th.
Fantastic. Thank you, Julie. And Matt, you want to add anything on the skate park?
No, we're still waiting for public restroom company to get us the engineering calculations on the restroom, which the county required. And I know that our contract engineer, Monty Soto, is working with Aaron Spawn on the design changes for the ski park, which also need to be completed in order to do a resubmittal to county. Once we have all that packaged together, I'll start working with district council on creating the RFP. And as you mentioned, we'll start targeting release of that RFP once all those pieces are together in the first quarter.
First quarter's getting soon.
Yeah.
That's I'm starting to feel the energy. All right. Questions about skate park project? Then okay, Friends of the Dog Park, Shelley. Good afternoon.
Becker Dog Park representative. I wanted to thank David for the bark in the dog park. It looks like there might be more with this rain coming, and that brings me to shelter. We have very little shelter out there, and we have funds. We'd like to put some gazebos out there, so if we can cooperate with that, or at least put the tarps up, maybe another couple of tarps up, just temporary, to provide a little shelter from the rain. And pathways is also priority, which I think bark would probably work. We did have some complaints about rough bark and the tender feet little dogs were having trouble, so if we could get clean, smooth bark, that would be appreciated. And, thanks for the gate latches, yeah, it's a big concern. It's not just latching them, but for them to, well, latch when they close, so they can't be pushed open where dogs can get through without permission. And thanks for mentioning the, dogs need to be on leash before they come out of their car. That's something we can emphasize with an email to the dog park members. And, also, I don't know if anybody else received this, but it's a county survey for Parks and Rec, and I found it to be really interesting, 25 questions. And, we were included as an unincorporated area, but I did mention the dog park, maybe the road to the dog park could use a little help. So, I'm glad that it's more of a community-wide event rather than just a Cambria event. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Questions for Shelley, comments? Laura, Forest Committee?
Okay, Forest Committee. Excuse me, I'll be pretty brief. The thing is, naturally, we've been following Green Space and Piscolini, what they're doing, planting the pine trees. And then this year, both agencies are also planting understory, which we've been asking for a very long time, because it makes it into a forest and not just a tree farm. So that is great. The other thing is the creek is running into Burn Canyon pretty well after this rain, not as much as sometimes, but all during the summer, there's always been little ponds and little wet areas, but it's definitely a constant wetlands, and now the creek is running, you can hear, and it's just delightful to walk there. And the other thing, we had one member of the Forest Committee also asked about the quarterly meetings. And she was worried about all the standing committees, but I could only ask on this one. But I can see that, you know, some special meetings will be helpful. And I'm just wondering, will the 501c3s be able to comment anything on the special meetings, or you can only talk about what's on the agenda?
It depends on what we put on the agenda. So, say when we're having special meetings, I guess it'd probably on me to let y'all know. And then if you have something to agendize, that can go on the agenda. But just, you know, we, as Vice Chair Sutherland mentioned, we'll probably not have just all of the reports, you know, just random reports, but it's, we can certainly agendize discussions.
It makes it nice, just in case something comes up a day or two, because I always ask our Forest Committee people if they have something they want me to, you know, bring to the committee here. That was just a question when we went to all the special meetings. So,
Yeah.
okay,
So, good question. Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. Thanks. I think you got the right answer there. I'm not sure. I'll play that back. Yeah. Any other questions or comments for Forest Committee? Yeah. We don't have representatives from Green Space, Lambton Cliffs, or others. I will share. Yeah, Tuesday there was a Lambton Cliffs party, and so now they're actively removing radish and mustard. They're planting new seedlings. We've been clearing the trails there for months. So instead of overgrown with kikuyu grass, there's now pathways. So that's that 2 acres is getting a lot of love. And that brings us to consent agenda. You know, again, this is like a 2-question. You know, first, are there any changes to make to the? And you know, thank you to Mr. Jaffe for producing these minutes. Are there any changes suggested from those minutes? Then do we have a motion to?
All motion.
All right, Shannon.
Second.
Excellent. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, so it's unanimously approved. And that brings us to regular business, Community Park Phase 3 planning update. I just wanted to comment, I wish Kitty were here, but I guess Yeah, Friday, the seventh, I got an email from Kitty Connolly. She forwarded the statewide park program, round 5 update, the grant with and her text said, I'm sure you've seen this, but, and my response was, well, no, matter of fact, I haven't, and thank you very much, Kitty. And so with that, I'll turn this over to the general manager to share what he's been working on and the progress that you have and how we can help.
Sure. Yeah, so the board directed staff, when we gave the latest update on the community park plan, to go ahead and get some quotes on the visual assessments, which was a requirement of the substantial conformance determination acceptance letter. So if you guys remember, it's been 3 months or so. We submitted those changes to the community park plan that all aligned with our current EIR and coastal development permit. But there was requirements of visual assessments. So I was able to get quotes for the visual assessments from Swicka and Padre and Associates. Those costs range roughly from $1,500 to about $2,300 for the visual assessments. So that was the first piece of it. And then the next piece of it was to try to gauge some sort of engineering design for all of these park features. Again, directed by the board to figure out what this project potentially could cost. That's difficult right now because our contracted engineer is working hard on the skate park design changes and that permitting. So I don't anticipate having those numbers for the board for at least a couple more months. But while that works its way through the process, we started working on the statewide park development grant. And I think that this project is a great fit for it. This is a grant in which would fund the entire cost of the project, which again, we don't know what that is. It is a reimbursement grant. So depending on how much the project costs, there's complications there in terms of how much funds we have on hand to start that process by paying out of pocket. So even if we were awarded the grant, we have to come out of pocket as a district to start developing the park. And there's maybe some stages in which we could do this. The grant is not open. Haley and I have already subscribed for the alerts on when it opens. And then once that happens, we'll start drafting our grant application. I did a super bones rough draft of basically a small narrative for this project. It really fits nicely with the overall intent of the grant. It's a brand new park in an area and community that doesn't have many parks short of Shamel. And I think all of those pieces fit really nicely into this overall grant application. So I think we have a good shot at it. It's very similar to the Land Conservation Water Fund grant that we got for the skate park, although this one will fund it fully. From that, assistance wise, there's nothing that needs to happen right now. I mean, if there was an ad hoc that wanted to start working on crafting narratives and doing research on the grant, happy to have their assistance. I know Haley and I will start working on this as it opens up and keep you guys up to date. I'm happy to take any questions.
Gotcha. So there is. Yeah. So yeah, Jen? Yes.
Well, first of all, I'm extremely excited to help you with the grant. So if we do need to forward an ad hoc, then of course I would form one and be of assistance. When I was looking through your responses here, one of the things you mentioned was that our community was populated heavily with older people. I would definitely want to make sure that we focus on the fact that our recreation is underserved for younger people and families in our area, which is kind of, I think, a really big focus on this. As far as the feedback we got from the community, I have a lot of that feedback personally. So we have like the actual data and the actual evidence, which I think is super valuable, including the Hispanic communities, the forms that they submitted. I have it in an envelope. Yeah, I'm just extremely excited about this opportunity. So I also am hoping, like, I don't know how this works. We've brought this up many, many times, but as far as coming up with plans for each one of the components, because we need build plans, like we were just talking about, even just something simple or relatively simple, like a playing field, like there's a million directions we can go. Is that something that we get to help guide as you guys are deciding how to approach
I think,
these components?
yeah, I think from a staff level perspective, this is the plan that you guys are gonna design and what you guys want to
Okay.
see. From my perspective is, I don't wanna undershoot the mark in terms of what this is gonna cost, so this being a project as a whole, it's gonna be a public works project, prevailing wage, it's going to be expensive.
Mhm.
And what we've learned from the skate park is that we don't wanna undershoot the mark, so, we can get up to $8.5 million for this project. You could type in ChatGPT and enter these features in, and it pegs it at 7.6 million. How accurate that is, I don't know. But we're gonna wanna shoot the moon on this one, to see if we really can get as much funding as we can. Cause my interpretation is with the county ADA pathways, I mean, we were talking about 501(c)(3) groups, trying to figure out ways to stand this project up. We were already talking about waivers for ADA compliant sidewalks, because we knew how expensive concrete is. So if we're gonna go for a grant like this, I imagine the county, is gonna be less inclined to give waivers, on a project like this.
Mhm.
So I just anticipate it being really expensive.
So in that, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, that then we have to come up with a cohesive design for the park. It can't just be pieced out components, as well as the components. Because something like the look and feel of the picnic areas, any shade cover that we have has to match the dog park, which is, obviously Shelley's waiting for that information, signage. Like, there's a lot to be taken into consideration here, so.
Yeah.
The sooner I think we get going on it, the better.
Yeah, and we'll know more when the grant application populates. When we did the Land Conservation Water Fund grant, we gave some high level design specs on it, but it wasn't down to the nitty gritty.
Okay.
We basically, this is what we think we need based on early estimates. And obviously, as long as that park has taken to get to where it is now, years and years have passed and those costs have escalated. So I think, depending on the way that the grant populates, we could be estimating on what this park costs, and that's why I say we kind of shoot the moon on it.
Okay.
And if we underspend, then that's great,
Mhm.
and then we'll just have to figure it out when we get there in terms of we are awarded the grant. Okay, how are we gonna do this in terms of those pieces?
And do we rely on Monty to do the actual park design? Like, how does that work? The overall design of this whole thing,
Well, that's the other piece of it, is that would be a cost to the district up front,
right?
and so we don't have that budget at the moment. I think the grant application will tell us, what we will need to have to start to secure those monies. And then I think once we get news back on that grant is when we maybe start pulling the trigger on paying for its design.
Okay,
In the back of the grant guide, appropriation date says it begins on July 1 of the state fiscal year when the program funding is authorized by the legislature. So does that mean last July 1 of 2025?
I have to look, because this is an old grant application
Yeah,
guide. I know that, let me pull this up.
because if that's the case, in other words, once it's, as you read it, once it's approved, monies that we've already spent can also be reimbursed
Yes,
if they're in scope.
yes. Yes, so if it.
So we'll find that out.
Yes.
okay, well, it's all very exciting, so
Yeah.
happy to support.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, this is about the most exciting thing I've seen in October, and Gail and I spent a day at Niagara Falls, so I'm not kidding. I mean, this is exciting. So yes,
Can I just make a couple comments? One on the population issue. I don't know if presenting this, our town is not just old people or young people, but people who travel through who would be using the parks might be more convincing for a committee who would say like, oh, well, it's not just because if they look at our town, we have 5,000 people, that might not be
Enough,
compelling.
yeah,
But
exactly.
if we say, hey, we also attract,
Well,
how
we
many
have,
people we attract, and they would be using the park as well. It's like, it benefits the whole state or whoever might be
Exactly.
traveling through.
And then we have like 60 or 70% of our kids are free and reduced lunch, so that they don't have like access to parks, they don't have access to playground equipment in their own homes like some places do.
Yeah. I know that in previous conversations we've had, the issues that we are facing are not just construction, but in maintaining the project. And I know that this is about construction, not maintaining.
Yep.
But are we, as we go through and look at this as though we're gonna maybe use this grant for construction? What's the next step, right? The next step is how are we gonna maintain it? And are we considering that as we go forward?
No, that's a great point, and I think we've talked about it before. I imagine since we have talked about engaging a 501(c)(3) or a 501(c)(3) being stood up, that's probably something, at least the way the board is constituted now, would require a maintenance fund. You know, and I think that 501(c)(3) group, whether it's a new one stood up, whether it's working with the Lions Club, some of our other 501(c)(3)s, we would have to start gearing up a maintenance fund for that.
And those conversations are already happening, obviously, whether or not either to stand up a 501(c)(3) or to work with another one, and we're talking. The biggest issue with those two things, the scary, was that we didn't know if we could progress forward, and there's costs associated with standing up a 501(c)(3). And I didn't want to do it until we knew we were being able to move forward.
And the idea of 501(c)(3) that we would then take in donations that would be used for that, like, so we have a 501(c)(3) that we would reach out to the other 501(c)(3)s that would donate to
Yeah.
us, so we could have
Going to go for grants.
grants as well,
Mhm.
grants and donations.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I
Try
think,
and fund that maintenance.
I think if we're lucky enough to acquire this grant and it goes before the board, for the board to accept it, that'll be a hot topic is, you know, it's great to get the grant, but then what do you do in terms of its long range maintenance?
Yeah.
You know.
And definitely thinking that.
And the grant language, I'm sure, will have that park has to be a park in perpetuity, and, you know, we've got.
We're committing to 30 years is the text in here,
Yeah.
30 years of operations and maintenance. So we've got to have your back on that. So that's the commitment that we have to somehow,
And in that narrative too is not just the money for maintenance, but supplying David with the equipment he needs to maintain it. So I like, we're coming at it from different angles as well. So being it the mowing, we should be able to pay for our monies as the 501(c)(3) should be able to pay for the mower, because that's the mower that's taking care of our area.
It will be our Achilles heel, the maintenance.
Yeah, I totally, I'm already thinking of it. I've been thinking about it for 3 months now, so how to best put it together. And so if you want to collaborate, if you're interested.
so I hear Shannon might have interest in being a member of this ad hoc committee.
Oh, yeah.
Do we have a partner, either of you? It's like,
Which ad hoc committee is this? I was just discussed, so I don't
Yeah.
know which part we're talking.
so the scope of this ad hoc, and it may be broader, but narrowly framed, it's work with staff to progress this grant application.
I would, yeah, sure. I just want to say one more thing, not that this is all going to happen overnight, but I do think that this also might be the time to reach out to Cal Poly, see if there's any kind of involvement that they have a very active and very innovative, I don't know what the title of it is, but recreation program that's focused on getting their students real life experience. And it's just another way to marshal all the resources at our disposal in the event that, design work. It could be just something as simple as the picnic benches, whatever, but there may be a way to tap into additional resources that are available within the county. Because my sense is that anything that would happen at that level, it's going to be slow. So we don't want to wait till suddenly, oh, it looks like we're getting this money and now we're going to start doing that kind of outreach.
I would flip that even more to say that I would engage Cal Poly's civil design engineering programs rather than.
Oh, yeah.
The rec,
Mhm.
because they might be able to help you with a senior project designing the Cambria Community Park.
Yeah, I think a broad outreach
Yeah.
to the university, because this is a unique opportunity. It's in their backyard. And
And it's a blank canvas. It'll look
Yeah.
really good for somebody.
Okay, so was that volunteering for this Is that I'm just checking.
Say okay, I don't know. I thought you were gonna say okay.
I don't need income, right? Sure.
So that's a yes, I'm just.
Yeah, we can, we'll work all those details out.
This is like one of those where I know like all three of y'all want to work on this together, and I wish, but the ground rules are, well, the bylaws, two of the committees, so, all right, so Matt, Jaffe and Shannon Sutherland, will be on
Unless
this.
you want to do that.
I wouldn't mind being on it, but I really can't commit to something just based on what's going on in my world right now
Yeah,
until
that's
after
fine.
the first year.
Yeah.
So if you want to start so earlier, then I would say you guys probably have a better team for it than me.
Okay.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt that Matt has a bit of journalistic skills.
We have some communication resources here,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, he can tell a story, and we'll bring it to the full committee. Awesome. And so there's a grant administration workshop. What I think I heard is both of you are signing up for that. Who else can and should attend that? I assume that.
Ad hoc, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in fact, it it would be permissible for all of us to go.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's typically webinars.
Yeah.
So you log in, they'll let you ask questions in the chat, they deactivate your mics. Nobody has cameras on.
Yeah.
So everybody just sits through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's recorded and you can bring it forward to the committee. If the committee can't all be there, you bring it forward to the committee, you guys can watch it, you can
Mhm.
send out the link. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And yeah, the fact that a quorum might be there, then, but we're not presenting.
But
Fantastic. So other questions, comments and discussions on this?
I just wondering, are you gonna post that workshop? Somebody will hear about it because we wanted to get involved. That's the grant administration workshop.
This, well, as a matter of fact, Ms. Dodson posted this
Okay,
online, and if I'm not mistaken, there's a link in here on one of these pages to that.
I believe so.
Yeah, it's
Second page.
yeah, it's not far in there. So yes, there is no. I mean, it takes a village, and thank goodness we've got a good one.
Yeah.
Other questions and comments? Then let's see. I think we may be done with this topic.
I'm all set. Yeah, I'll keep you guys up to date, but it hasn't opened yet, so we're kind of
Oh,
it's a waiting game.
yeah. Do we have a hunch of when it will open?
I want to say, well, we're on that subscription list. I remember reading somewhere second quarter of 26 is when it would open.
Okay.
I'll follow up at our next meeting.
Okay, well,
Keep you up to date,
yeah, we'll
but I'll email Shannon and Matt.
subscribe and, yeah. Fantastic. Then I think that brings us to future agenda items. We do have the December meeting on the agenda. And we have on the quarterly schedule for next year, a January meeting. And from there, we'll sort out next steps. What else for future agenda items?
So we have a meeting now, a meeting in a month, and a meeting a month from that, and that meeting in January starts the quarterly meetings.
Correct.
And the meeting in December, what day is that?
That
Do we know?
is
Getting close to the holiday, I would imagine. And do
I
we,
think it's a little bit earlier than that, but it is the 18th.
and so do we all feel strongly that that's a necessary meeting that we need to have before the January meeting?
Don't know.
I make the motion that we cancel the December meeting.
I would love to second that motion.
Okay, so we have, and if Tim Carmel were here, he would say, well, yeah, you don't actually need to vote on that. But that's pretty clearly unanimous. So let's say, we will meet again in
I
January.
love that.
Thank you for that. So no December meeting. And anything else content wise that you want to bring to the January? And knowing that when things come up, you can just feed that to me at any time. And as always, if meeting's on a Thursday, the Monday, the week prior is when I need to provide that information to the confidential administrative assistant. So I need a little bit of lead time on that. Beyond that, we're good to go. And so it is 3:01 PM and, thank you. Okay, didn't see. Yes, Laura.
Question, since this grant is available and there seems to be a lot of work that's gonna need to be done, are you gonna try to fill the other two positions then? To fill out this, to go back to 5?
We didn't really talk about the fact that we've struggled with getting someone to be in the seats. The commitment is not really all that much, but the worry is that we were going to either be disbanded or that the park was not going to happen at all. And so we would have done a lot of work and gone nowhere. So there is concern with the people. I have talked to them, begged to be on it, trying to get someone, you know, from who is maybe working class, maybe family on the board, because they would be really interested in recreation in this community. Has been hard because people work and these are in the middle of the day. It's hard for me. I have to bring my laptops on call.
And there's been 12 a year. Like
Yeah.
12 a year is,
So-
it's a bit of a commitment.
Yeah, so a little bit less frequent might actually really help. And knowing that we have, you know, hope with this grant, I think is also really gonna help.
Yeah.
So,
Because it was, honestly, it was kind of my experience when I got here. I mean, I thought like, we'll hit the ground running, man, we're gonna do some stuff. And then, you know, like you run into all the bureaucracy and you realize we're not gonna hit the ground. I'm not hitting the ground running. I'm just hitting the ground. And then I'm gonna do it 12 times a year. Like it just like, you know, if there was something to do, we were making real progress. If we had ways to, you know, things to, I would be excited, but it's a slower process than that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, it was a bit of an awakening.
and to your point, it's been hard to sell the idea of joining the board because of that.
The committee, yeah.
The committee,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've had similar conversations, yeah, decent point. A buddy, you know, we're out volunteering together at Lambton and he said, I'm not thinking about this. Can you tell me, you know, so I give him the whole history. Here's what we're doing and here's what the board has done. And he says, well, yeah, boy, you really don't sugarcoat things, do you? Great sell. Well, I'll give it some thought.
yeah.
I'll give it some thought, yeah. But this puts a couple logs on the fire.
It does.
Gives us something to look forward to. And then it's also the idea that there's fewer meetings. I mean, I think having a plan or having some hope
Mhm.
and not having as big of a commitment might be more attractive to some people.
So to that end, then, if at least us here can help, like, put the word out in the community that we have 2 spots to fill and that we would really love someone who is actually interested in recreation and doing something good for our community. I think we definitely get some people that want to join these committees because they have some, you know, like agenda, which of course I have agenda too, but everyone does. But it'd be nice to get a couple people who would love to serve the community and do something good.
I'll give it some time.
Yeah, and so the long answer to your question, Laura, is that, yeah, we do intend to fill the seats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good conversation.
Yeah, thanks for initiating that. All right. Anything else that I've missed? All right, well, then it's 3:05 PM and this meeting of the proposed committee is adjourned. Thank you all. Yeah.
Okay. I have no grant experience, so I'm trust you.
Yeah, definitely, yeah, that's what I do, so.
Yeah.
Definitely have that.
Yeah, that's it.